He spent a year in Turkish custody without being charged, and the European Court of Human Rights has now passed a verdict following a complaint by journalist Deniz Yücel. The European Court of Human Rights, the ECHR, has condemned Turkey for the imprisonment of German-Turkish journalist Deniz Yücel. According to the verdict, which was announced in writing on Tuesday, Yücel's one-year pre-trial detention for alleged terrorist propaganda violated his human rights to freedom and security, as well as freedom of expression. Ankara now has to pay 13,300 euros in compensation to the journalist. The verdict is not yet final. The litigants can contest it within 3 months. Yücel described the verdict on Twitter as largely good but disappointing in parts. The German newspaper Welt correspondent was detained without charge from February 2017 to February 2018 in the maximum security prison Silivri, west of Istanbul. According to the Strasbourg judges, a Turkish court ordered his pre-trial detention on suspicion of spreading terrorist propaganda and inciting hatred and hostility. It relied on Yücel's article on the Turkish government's Kurdish policy. Only after a long political tug-of-war between Ankara and Berlin was the German Turk free and able to leave the country. In July 2020, the journalist was then sentenced in absentia to around 2 years and 10 months in prison for terrorist propaganda for the banned Kurdish Workers' Party PKK. The procedure is under revision. The judgment from Strasbourg now states that there were no plausible reasons to suspect Yücel of a crime. The judges also found that arresting people who expressed critical opinions was detrimental to freedom of expression in a society. Yücel welcomed on Twitter that the court had found his arrest and sentence illegal. On the other hand, it is disappointing that the ECHR found no violation of the prohibition on torture despite 9 months of solitary confinement and despite the physical and psychological abuse he was exposed to for 3 days. The court also failed to establish the political motivation behind the proceedings, according to Yücel. On the other hand, he wants to appeal. The Strasbourg court did not deal with the question of political motivation at all and instead referred to other human rights violations that had been identified. Especially since the attempted coup in 2016, the pressure on critical voices in Turkey has been massive. Many journalists have been sentenced to prison, while others are still on trial today. Just last week, a journalist was arrested for making critical statements about President Recep Tayyip Erdogan on TV. I reported on that. The media landscape is, directly or indirectly, almost completely under the control of the government. The president of the European Court of Human Rights, Robert Ragnar Spano, said the Yücel case is comparable to many complaints against Turkey that his house is currently dealing with. And I personally can only say I will definitely not travel to Turkey as long as this government is in charge. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.